Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 4th episode of Rim Radio Podcast. We're here with both storyteller Xenon from our channel, and we have Rat Knight as a guest tonight. How you doing tonight, Rat Knight?
I am doing wonderful. I am jacked up on coffee, and I'm plum tickled pink just to be here. Thanks for having me.
Perfect. How about you, Xenon? How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I have a hurricane coming at me, and I'm so happy and ready.
Are you very prepared for that?
No.
Shit. Well, I hope everything goes well for you. That's not a very exciting thing to have happen.
No, it's all good.
Yeah, so on to the podcast. Rat Knight. This has been a long time coming. It's been like, what, 6 months since we first announced this podcast?
Yeah, it's been a little while. Sorry. It's mostly my fault. I will take the blame. I'm really bad about planning and scheduling and really doing anything, so I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know we've both delayed it a few times now, and like we're kind of just like, okay, let's get this done.
Let's get it over with. Get this stupid rat in here and let him talk for a minute. Get him out of here. Good God.
Kind of the first thing I want to talk to you about is how did you get into making YouTube videos? Did you start with Rimworld, or did you start with maybe a different game? Kind of give us some backstory to that.
I think with this channel, I don't want to ramble on too much, but I'm like in my mid-20s, and I was really into Minecraft about the time like 2011, 2012, because I was like 11 or 12, right? And I started watching like Minecraft YouTubers, and I was like, wow, this is the shit. This is awesome. So, I used to do channels like that growing up. And of course, I never really got any traction. And I would do that. I would do all kinds of different little games, Kerbal Space Program. What was another one? I would do Halo, just anything and everything that I found interesting. Eventually, after a few channels, growing up, I eventually made the Rat Knight. I think the first video on the channel, though, was, I think it was like an app it was like a Bethesda game app or something that you could get on iOS. And then I was like, that didn't do so well. Let's try Rimworld. I like Rimworld. And it's kind of how I came around to it.
Was it that Fallout Vault game?
No, but I used to make videos of that on an old channel I had in like high school or something. I guess it's just Fallout Vault or whatever it is. I'm gonna say it was like I'm not gonna waste your time. I don't remember what it was, but it took place in like the Elder Scrolls universe. I know that.
So how did you set your sights on Rat Knight as a name? Like, is there any backstory behind that? What's the story there?
I wish I had a good story for you on that. And so like one of my channels previously had the like name Rat something. It was like Rat Simple or Rat Simply, something like that. Just some random generated slop. I had that, and then I think when I was making my first little profile picture for the channel, I was sitting with my girlfriend, and I was like, do you like a knight? Like, do you think that would be good? And she's like, yeah, I guess so. And then I was like, all right, Rat Knight. I think that's great. I like that. And so that's kind of how I came up with it.
Well, it seems you have quite the following with the whole rat universe now, and like just even in your Discord, there's a lot of people naming themselves particular rats, and I think what's one of them? I think Chief Rat was one of the ones I saw. Seems like you got a whole like medieval structure going on there.
Yeah, I mean, or you could call it like a cult. I mean, just whatever you want to call it. Medieval structure, a cult. Yeah, some type of religious following. No, I'm just kidding. I love them all. They are great. It is a little cultish, we all got the rat names, but that's okay.
So one thing I want to do is congratulate you because you just made your 500th video on your channel.
Yeah. Thank you. I didn't even I don't know if I knew that, but thank you.
And you're at 91 and a bit subs too. Like, you're pretty close to 100K. You're not too far off.
Yeah. It's I'm thinking maybe next month, something like that, hopefully. I'm tickled. I don't know what to say, man. I'm grateful.
You know what's funny? I do remember though, probably a year or two now, I was slightly ahead of you in subscribers. Like, I think it was around, we were both around 4K. I was ahead of you for a little bit, and then you like skyrocketed off and then went to the big leagues.
I just got lucky. I mean, that's genuinely all it was. I mean, genuinely, that's my thoughts on it. Here he goes. He had to bring that up again. Yeah, I know. You were better than me. This guy, he's always doing this. No, I remember that though. I swear I just got lucky and like the algorithm picked one of my little videos and was like, "Hey, do you guys want to watch this?" And people were like, "Yeah, it's all right, I guess."
I'm glad that happened because I think around that time, like just before you skyrocketed, you were probably at like 250 for videos. Like you were pretty up there for like putting out content. So like it was about time that you were getting like the recognition that you deserved.
Yeah, I have been throwing videos at the wall for a long time, and yeah, I remember in particular. I think I have one series from like about the time that you and I first started talking. It was my Mountain Men series. I don't know if you remember that, but
Yep,
it was
yep,
like a
I do.
little. Yeah, the Let's Play series, and that had like what 60, 70 episodes or something. So I feel like that's that's a big chunk of all of my videos. But yeah, I've been making them forever, man, and I don't know, Let's Plays were dead. I think even you told me that, and then I was like, yeah, he's right. I'm gonna keep trying though, and you were right though. They are dead, and that old style is. It's if I were doing it in 2009, it probably would have took off.
Oh, for sure. I think one of the funny things is when I first like discovered your channel, we got to talking on like I think it was Discord maybe. I was like, hey man, maybe you should like change your thumbnails between videos because I think you were just using the same one for every single video at that point, and you just changed like the episode number on the thumbnail.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, thank God you told me that too, because yeah, that's another thing, man.
They're looking real good now.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Like I liked all the little it's almost like a mini story every time you look at one of your thumbnails. You can expect in that video.
Yeah, I try to keep it as on topic with what's going to happen in the video as possible. I don't want to clickbait anyone, but I want you to click on it if you know what I'm saying. I want to I want you to watch it.
On to the next thing here. So after the Mountain Men is kind of when you started that Logging Empire series. How did you get the idea for that?
With that, we were moving to a new house. I had just bought a house. I think above the house, it's like on our neighbor's side or whatever, they own a bunch of land. And they had hired this logging company and, they were just cutting down all the trees and whatever. And I was like, that would be a fun little challenge in Rimworld. And, I mean, that's basically it. I just literally have moved somewhere and they're like, yeah, there's some people cutting trees. And I was like, that'd be fun for my little YouTube channel.
And then how did you come up with the names for like Birch and I can't remember what the other guy's name was. He was one of the main characters that went from the Logging Empire to the Mining Empire, though. It was
Happy Oak.
Yes, Happy.
Yeah. I think, just trees. Birch is probably the first tree I would ever think of in my head. And then I think with Happy Oak, oak is probably, if you ask me to name like 5 trees, it's going to be like birch, oak, and hickory, right? Like I'm going to start going down that. I know his name when he like came in was Happy, and then I was like, it'd be cool if I just started adding some little tree names onto them, and then it's just the second one I thought of, I guess.
So in regards to your stories for these series, are you like pre-planning them, or are you just like kind of like seeing how the game goes, or is it like a mix of that? Like what's your strategy for that?
I would say in the beginning it was definitely just kind of like, let's see where the game goes, like 99.9% of the time. I think with the Logging Empire towards the end of it, I just kind of like, we were so big and the raids were getting so big, and I was like, at some point we're just going to get overtaken, but I didn't want that to be what happened in every single one. So I want to say, I don't know if you watched the Farming Empire. It was like logging, mining, and then what do we have after that? Oh, I'm sorry, no. Logging, alcohol, and then mining. And then we had farming. And in my opinion, the Farming Empire was the worst of all.
Okay.
Because I went from and that's just my opinion. I know a lot of people love it because it's like 100% role play at that point. But that's what I don't like about it, because I feel like I didn't let the game do as much. And I basically just took over control of all the storytelling. And that was kind of like a wake-up call for me, And after that point, I just kind of started doing a mix of the two where, okay, here's what I want to happen narratively, but everything that happens in between is the game. And, if I find a better narrative along the way, we'll shift that and we'll change that.
So if it doesn't go the way you want it to in game, do you like reload, save, and then try and do it again? Or like, what's your strategy if it's like, say one of your pawns gets killed in a fight that you didn't need to die there? What's your strategy?
Kind of yes and no. It really depends. So, like, with like a last episode, if we're going out with a big bang, like the Gun Empire series there, towards the end, we're taking out like the, what was it, the Mountain Devil Mafia, right? That was our big goal for the last episode. If any of our people die during that, they're dead. They're not coming back. Like that's just how it's going to be. But if it's like the episode before that, where I'm like, all right, we got these two founding members here. I don't want them to die in some shitty little raid to tribes people, that are coming at them with clubs and stuff. And maybe I'm not looking and one of them gets cracked in the head with a spear or some shit. Then I'll be like, okay, maybe I should reload the save and push him to the back. Anyone else that dies, okay, that's good, So I play a little loosey-goosey with the rules depending, whatever I want, I guess. I know that sounds kind of stupid, but, I guess just whatever I'm feeling in the moment, if that makes sense.
I know, it definitely does. Like, I just was curious how you like guide your stories, because it's definitely hard to like keep a series going for so long, and especially when you have so many moving parts. And one day your one character might get a plague and get killed by that plague, right? So I was just kind of curious how you guided that from like for key characters and not having them get killed right off the bat, for instance.
A lot of the time, not to ruin the magic of it for anyone that enjoys watching it, but if you see like key players on the front lines, like fighting or something, they're on the front lines for that shot, and then they're moved to the back as soon as I stop, And sometimes I feel like you can see that in the recordings. Like you'll see one where it's like close up, okay, they're shooting from here, and then, another close up of the enemies, and then like, the third scene, you see them backing away because I'm like, I don't want them to die, that kind of thing. I just want to add that in there, It's a little thing you might see throughout.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to rewatch series that you have now with like that information, just to see if you can even see that. But I honestly doubt anyone probably even picked up on that. Continuing, you're now doing a series with a pawn where he dies in that time period, then he revives and goes to a new time period.
Yeah, kind of. So, anytime he dies, basically, we just restart, like we'll throw him into a completely different mod list or completely different world. Again, I'm kind of just playing loosey-goosey, because the idea originally is like, all right, here's a mod list. We throw this character in, he dies. All right, I'm going to randomize the mod list or, randomize some of the mods and, the key mods, whatever. And I'm going to throw him back in. But then people are commenting and they're like, it would be really cool if we seen him in this universe that we really love. And I'm like, maybe I'll toss him into that. So different time periods, different mod lists, just, completely different sometimes.
And I think that's what you last released, or was it the Gun Empire that you were previously working on?
I think it was that one, the Restart on Death one with the pawn there, Laz, that, keeps reviving.
That idea spark from anywhere, like any movies, or did you just come up with it one day?
I think I just kind of came up with it. That was from, I tried that series originally. I want to say that was one of the series I began after like the Mountain Men series way back when. Back then I called it the Infinite Live series. So basically just every time he died, I would use dev mode and resurrect him. And at first it's like, okay, this is a, fun little idea, but then it's like, well, there's no stakes. It doesn't matter. I could send him in, he gets his head cut off, I bring him back, and then he kills the mech cluster. It doesn't matter. So I tried to refine the idea where it's like, okay, there's some stakes here because, I've gotten better at storytelling. I've gotten better at coming up with these stories and narratives for our characters and colonies. And it's like, okay, we know all these people, but if we mess up and he's dead, gone, it's over with. So
that kind of makes me a question. How do you keep track of your whole universe? Like, do you have like a storyboard, or you just like have a spot in your brain where you just know what's going on?
To be honest with you, like I work on I work from home, but I also work, on videos and stuff while I'm here. And I'm just like, I just have it all. I do keep notes though in like my phone and stuff like that, like, the notepad or whatever. I'll keep stuff like key components in case I forget, because I know that I can be very forgetful with like ages and stuff like that. But I mean, I'm not trying to be like I remember everything, but I remember a lot about it. It's, it's my little shared universe. It's my little baby. So I'm pretty proud of it. And I remember most of it.
Can you kind of explain like how you do it for editing? Like, are you, when you're recording, are you voicing over your footage as you play? Are you editing it, like editing in your voice after? Like, how does that process work for you?
It's normally in post. So something I've been doing more often that I didn't do as often is, so like, for example, a few hours ago I was working on a video, and I'll have maybe say, because I'll do little scenes and different clips just so it's easier for me, but I'll have maybe say 40 to 50 clips that I need to edit, and then I'll have those ready for in the morning if I'm going to record then, or sometimes as soon as I'm done playing, like, with those scenes, I'll edit them and just go ahead and narrate over them so I remember what I was going to say. I used to do that less, and I would just do like a whole episode and then try to narrate over it, but then I'm like, oh shit, I forgot, like, like what's going on here? What am I supposed to say? And stuff like that, and it made it a little bit harder. But for narration, it's almost always in post. It's just easier for me that way with my schedule and stuff.
See, I have the same issue where I'll have an idea for a video, I'll make the maps, I'll record everything, and then I'll like leave it for a few weeks or a month, and I'll come back, I don't remember anything, and then I just like almost make a new story with those images that I have, with the videos that I have.
Right.
You're just like entirely out of the workflow too.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
I've had issues with that too, where that's another reason a lot of the time, I'll try not to. I kind of focus on one project at a time, and like I have to finish that one, especially narration and stuff. I have to finish that one before I move on to another one, because I just completely forget, especially where like the main game on the channel is Rimworld. If I'm doing one over here in say like Gun Empire, and then I move over to like one of the other ones I was running at the time, the like Eternal Winter, then I'm like, oh shit, okay, I've got 2 episodes of Gun Empire that I just did, but I don't know what's happening in the Eternal Winter. Like what was the point of this scene?
Do you keep notes as you're like, I know you said you keep notes for like your stories and stuff, but as you're doing an episode, do you have like a notepad and you're like, okay, I did this, this, and this, or are you using that voiceover as your way of like making sure you don't forget what is going on?
So a little bit of both. With the notepad, for example, kind of like how we were talking about earlier. So like, just as an example, again, in my season 1 of the Gun Empire series, at the end of it, like we're taking on the Mountain Devil Mafia, that faction, and we're destroying them. Well, in my notes, I'll put, okay, ending, we're going to finish them off. If I think of some line that I'm like, okay, this would be cool for me to narrate for this character, I'll write that in there. When it comes to actually remembering everything, normally kind of how, like I said, I'll record a little bit at a time until the video's finished. I'll go back so many scenes and listen to the tone of my voice, what I was talking about and stuff like that, so I can kind of help immerse myself again, because I don't want to be like, all right, everybody's dead, oh God, and then come back and I'm like, well, anyways, that kind of thing, this complete tone shift, which I'm pretty bad about that sometimes, even though I do that, but I guess just however I'm feeling at that moment, whatever,
Yeah, that's got to be tough when you're doing sections at different days too, because like your tone of voice in the morning can be different from the tone of voice you have at night, right?
Yeah.
It can definitely be difficult to make sure everything's matched up and keeping the same tone throughout.
I normally have to give it a few hours if I'm going to do it in the morning, because you have the voice in the morning where you're kind of like gargled and stuff, and yeah, it's rough.
Coming back from work, especially, you'll sit down and be like, all right, I have these scenes scheduled to do, and you're just like, I'm just gonna go to sleep, because it's one of two things. It's like either you try to force yourself to do it and your workflow just doesn't go all that well, or you just kind of wait for a better time and then the work just doesn't get done. You're just like, all right.
Yeah, it's, if you try to force it, it doesn't work. And like, the audience can tell that too. They're like, it's, I don't know. If you don't sound interested, or you don't sound like you're into it, or you don't have any emotion in your voice, you're just narrating or whatever, they can tell too. So
that's the hard thing that I'm having. Like, I'm trying to start to do voice content, and it's difficult. Like, I'm very self-conscious of how I sound. Even though I've done like a few of these podcasts, it's still like, in the back of your head, like, are you gonna get judged? Like, what are they gonna think?
Yeah, you just kind of have to come to terms with it. I still kind of get like that, but I'll check the comments and I'm like, the majority of people are like, oh, this was a good episode. I really like this. I'm like, anybody that says it was real bad, maybe they're not in the majority, of course. But I always try to take the criticism with it. If they're like, for example, I remember there was a comment on. I was doing some Halo ODST series where I was trying to do more cinematics and stuff, and so I didn't have any voice actors, and I was kind of trying to find like these kind of like voice changers online and stuff, but I just turned I think the pitch of it really far down, and somebody in the comments was like, hey, good episode, but that was kind of cringe. And I was like, that was kind of cringe. I should try and do better next time, or don't do it at all. So, but stuff like that kind of sticks with you because you're like, well, I just said this. Is that going to be kind of weird for everyone, or is somebody going to think that's weird?
I think the best advice that I ever ended up seeing was like, the only person who really hates, like, the person who hates your voice the most is yourself,
Oh, yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I think Tails and I have both had the same conversation where I'll be like, you have the better voice, and he'll be like, you have the better voice. And it's like, well, why is it the other way? And it's like, well, I hate my voice. It's like, but you're the only one who hates it. And it's like, I saw it on a video where it's like, the only person who hates it is yourself. Just kind of, move past it. It's a hump,
Yeah, it's kind of like, I feel like, just from my experience, you get used to it after a while. You just kind of got to push through it. Eventually you get comfortable with it somewhat,
No, yeah, absolutely. But it's like the first part of it, you got to get into the groove of it kind of deal.
Yeah, I still get really uncomfortable. Like my lady she's like in the room with me, and I'm like, because she used to listen, and I would turn around and she'd be smiling or giggling. Like not making fun or, whatever. She's just kind of like, oh, that's cute. That's, I like watching you work. And I'm like, please, I need you to leave or stop because I can't focus. I'm embarrassed.
I have the exact same issue. I can't record anything if my family's up at all. Like it's not happening.
Yeah, it just feels so strange, Like when you're doing it, you're like, all right, this is going to be for the audience, so many thousand people or whatever. And then it's like, but I can't do it in front of you. I'm so sorry. One person I can't do it in front of.
The audience you don't want.
Yeah. She pulls my videos up all the time and she'll be like, oh, this looks interesting. I'm like, please don't play that right now. I can't stay in here if you play that.
Do you watch your own videos after you release? Like, I know you have to watch them during editing, but do you ever like watch them again down the road?
Sometimes I do. I say that, but literally this morning I did that exact same thing with the video that was released. It's not like I'm like narcissistic and I'm like, oh, this is damn good. This is fire as shit. I love this, It's more like with my editing software, for whatever reason, sometimes I have these issues where like I'll be zooming in like in a certain scene, and then if I stretch it out a little or whatever, edit it, mess with it to match where my narration begins and ends, it'll change. And I swear it doesn't matter how many times I'll watch it after it's made. I'll go and watch it on like YouTube after it's uploaded, and I'll be like, oh, I messed that scene up. Like, how did I not catch this? So it's mostly that. I don't do it every time, but I'll do it a lot of the time just to kind of see if I catch anything like that needs to be out or, whatever.
Yeah, we run into that too. Like because we try and make our cinematics as flawless as possible, right? So sometimes something will get missed, like something tiny, like something that only me and Xenon would notice and like no one else will pick up on. But we'll see that with like an eagle eye after we've uploaded, and it's like all we can think about.
Yeah, that happens with mine all the time. Like, I don't remember when it was, but it was a Rimworld video a little while ago. I was trying to zoom in towards like a notification, like the event notification, and it just like pulled that all the way to half like of the screen, and there was like a half of it was completely black or something, like it pulled it out of frame, and nobody said a word, but I was like, I hate myself for doing that. How did I let that happen?
I always find that there's that one mod where you can like randomize the map again. That like it has like a pair of dice that's in like the top right corner, and like that one always sneaks in on me. Like it's probably in a lot of our videos because I just forget to like clear that in game. So that one will pop up quite a bit. And then most of the time it's just like Because for us, we have to make the pawns do a very specific action. And so if they don't, maybe they did something before that specific action, we kind of just left in there, kind of forgot about it. A lot of the time for us, it's just catching actions that weren't supposed to happen. And like, honestly, sometimes we just reshoot the whole scene and it's a pain in the butt, and we'll just go back, redo everything. And then, because we're almost too perfectionist at us, and that's probably why it takes so long for us to make videos.
Right. And really, I mean, that's the best way to be with it, though. I know, because, like, I don't know, I kind of have the same mindset when I see like something go wrong or whatever, where I'm like, people probably won't care if I leave that, but I will 100% care. It's really going to bother me. Kind of like we were talking about earlier, like, you can have a sea of good comments, but if I, like, mess up and somebody's like, oh, you messed up, I'll be like, oh, no. They know that I messed up and they don't like it. I'm so sorry, and it drives me insane.
And there's a lot of the times too where like it's not something you might be able to fix in game, and you just gotta like, because we've come up with like a lot of neat editing tricks to like hide stuff. So like taking a screenshot and putting it over that piece so that it looks like it's part of the scene, but it's like not, because it's just a picture on top of the video. Like there's tricks like that you can use, like for us, for instance, for cinematics, to fix that kind of stuff. But there's just some things where it's just like, yeah, this is a write-off, just redo it.
Kudos to you guys for doing that, because I've had to do that a time or two. You guys are really good with cinematics and stuff. I'm not near as well versed, I'll say, but I try to do them sometimes in some videos, and I think there's some in like my Clone Army series, one of the seasons or something, where I was trying to do like exactly that, where I was like, I'll just take this piece of the world map and I'll put it here. And it took me forever. Like, I couldn't really get it to work how I wanted it to. It's like, well, I've spent all this time. I've spent like over an hour trying to get this to look right when, I could have had the rest of the video done.
It's difficult. Like there's a lot of stuff. Like it also depends on the software you're using too. For us, we run Adobe After Effects and Adobe Premiere, and we're kind of like transitioning to other programs right now. But for the most part, like the workflow is very different between different software, and you can do like a lot of different things. That being said, if you have the wrong software, it might not be as smooth of an animation as if it was a different software. And it's kind of just figuring out which one works best for you and trying to work from that. Because like when I first started making these animations, like you can tell how horrible they are. And then when I discovered Adobe After Effects, it was like a whole new world. Everything was so smooth and so nice. And it's definitely a struggle too, because you probably had to keyframe all your animations, right? So getting everything to like for hands, for instance, getting them to move where you want them to move, getting the pieces. Because are you using in-game characters and then adding hands after the fact, or are you pulling the characters out and just making everything in the software?
No, so really for the hands, the hands have been such a work in progress, because I used to have the little black border, the outline was so thin. So I'll occasionally just kind of go into Photoshop and make a little circle for the hands with the skin tone of whoever I, want it to be. But I'll just kind of like pull them out, whoever direction the character is supposed to be facing, stuff like that. And then I have like just a folder of hands and weapons and stuff like that I know I'm going to be using for the keyframe and stuff.
Yeah, see, typically it's a mix for me. If I can do it in game, I'll just do it in game and then add effects after. But sometimes it's honestly just easier to rebuild the game in the animation software and then you just do it all from scratch, because then you can do exactly what you need to do, and then you're not worrying about lag or other things happening in your footage, and you can completely control the narrative.
Out of context, that statement sounds very terrifying. I have a folder full of hands.
Oh, were we talking about? Yeah, videos. I got you. Yeah, for animation.
Rimworld, right?
We were talking about something else. Yeah,
that's my Rimworld closet. If you're willing to speak on it, how do you sort of balance doing like a you have life in general and then obligations or responsibilities to try and get Rimworld videos out? Because I know for my own self, like it gets pretty tough sometimes. So that's something I'm always curious to know about for other content creators, like how the balance is there and how well or it really goes.
I mean, to be honest with you, I don't think I balance it very well. I mean, it's like I always like to say like, when I'm working, like if I'm working, because I work from home and, my PC's right there and, I can work on videos or whatever. I can't really do it during work hours, obviously. But before I go in, there's like an hour or so, like, okay, I'm going to work on videos. And then like, I get a 15-minute break. All right, I'm going to work on videos. 30-minute lunch. All right, and then after, like, I have a little bit of time after, I'll work on it then. And it's kind of like I work, but I'm also doing that. So it's kind of like a bigger shift. But I mean, I hate to say it, it's a little embarrassing. I guess not, because I know people love it and they love having videos out as often as possible, so I shouldn't be embarrassed. But I feel like I just spend a lot of time working on it. It'll be like, all right, family's asleep. Let's have a little coffee. Let's work on a video, that kind of thing. I think I'm not trying to, this isn't ditch digging or whatever, right? It's playing Rimworld and editing and doing some narration, but I think I overwork myself with it a little bit. I just, like, if I have a video that came out like 2 or 3 days ago, I'm like, red alert, we're overdue. It's time. We need to put out another video and get this done. I try not to sacrifice quality for quantity, obviously, but I think I don't know. I try and overwork myself in times that I shouldn't, like late at night and stuff like that. On the weekends, though, I just kind of keep that for myself, and I try to make sure that I have some time to myself and with family and friends and stuff like that. But I don't know. You can never have too much of that time, but that's kind of how I balance it, I guess.
Yeah, it's just interesting because before I hopped on to the YouTube page too, I was always curious as like what's going on in the background, and now it's going on. It's like, wow, this can be a little taxing sometimes. So now I'm always curious as to what it's like for everyone else on the other end. And it's like, yeah, sometimes it's stress, but other times, when there's a community that's there, it's like that's kind of the motivation going on too.
I just, I mean, I always feel bad or like guilty for saying like, oh, this is stressful, because it's like, it's really a luxury job and stuff that people would kill for. So, I don't want to sound like I'm ungrateful or something like, oh, this is killing me, but it is, it could just, be really stressful and taxing.
I gotcha. So one other question for you is, how long does it usually like take for a video to be made on your end, kind of deal?
I guess it really depends just on me, but normally within about a day or two, something like that, probably. In the summertime, with my schedule, it changes a bit and it's a bit harder to get them out. So maybe, 3, sometimes even 4 days, just depending on how much time I have. Probably 1 to 3 days, something like that, I'd say.
In what do you think that translate to in hours? Like, how many hours do you think per video?
Shit, I don't know. I don't want to give you a wrong answer, even though I know there's no wrong answer. Maybe, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 hours, something like that. I mean, it sounds like a lot, but I don't think it really is for a video, because a lot of it is, recording and editing. Like for me, the narration, easiest, fastest part, because I don't know, I never shut up, as you guys could probably tell. I could talk for days and I can make shit up as I go, and just like narrate. And I kind of have to catch myself with that though, of course, and go back and narrate a little bit more, but that's the easiest part. But yeah, I'd say maybe 15, 20 hours, something like that.
Yeah, see, the reason we're interested in that is just because it takes us about like 40 hours per video on average, just with how much goes into cinematics and animation and whatnot. So we're kind of curious to see how it is on like the Let's Play end of that.
Yeah, you guys, I mean, you definitely put a lot more hours in and work in, for sure. A lot more care and detail, I feel like, especially.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Hey, you're welcome.
It's funny when I'll tell tales, like we're gonna get this schedule of a video every week or every 2 weeks, and then we start doing it, and we're both like, I don't know about that one, Chief.
Especially with like work and stuff too. Like my hours aren't consistent. Like they're always either 8 to 14 hours a day, and then I have family on top of that wants me to spend time with them, so it's always chaos for me. And then sometimes like YouTube's on the back burner, I just can't get to it that week.
Yeah, it's incredibly difficult with the just time management, especially. I'm sure you guys have probably had the issue where like, all right, I'm working on a project, and then it's like, well, this just isn't what I want it to be, and then it makes you kind of, procrastinate, because you just, it's like, I got to scrap it. I wasted all that time.
Yeah.
That brings up a question for me. What is the toughest video you've ever made? Story behind it, if you're okay with sharing.
Yeah, I'm probably, now here's the thing. I don't mean to glaze you gentlemen too much here. I want to say one of the toughest, like taxing, like time, consuming ones was probably I think I'm trying to think of what I called it. It was part of my like, it's a little convoluted here, but it was part of like my season 2 of my Clone Army series, but it really was just like in the same universe. I think I called it Rimworld Hell Droppers. Yeah, Hell Jumpers. That's what it was. Like the ODST one. I think I mentioned it earlier. A lot of that was cinematics, you know, or like as best as I could do with some keyframe animation. I would say that was the most difficult one that I have done, like that little series. Any of those videos, pick one, you know, because like after that, I was like, Jesus, I'm just so glad to be back to just playing and narrating, you know, like this is this is not for me. This is rough.
There goes 5 years of my life.
Especially with just how much goes into it, like the keyframes. There's a lot behind the scenes people don't see, and the stuff like you gotta learn the software too. Especially if you're moving into new software, there's a huge learning curve to it, and even after you figure it out, you like, how do I make this effect happen, or how do I make this effect? Like for my one video called Rebels, I wanted to have a vehicle be scanned. So I had to figure out how to get a wireframe of it, how to get the scan to work, and like how to make it look like it was in game. And it's just wild, like the amount of stuff you learn, how the way we do things.
I'm gonna glaze you guys a little bit more if you'll appreciate the fellatio here.
Like a glazed donut.
I mean, like it's like there's a lot that you learn. There's a lot of little like with my software at least, it's like a lot of little tricks and stuff like that where you're like, oh, this is perfect for this. And with me though, you know, where I don't do a lot of cinematics, it's like, I probably won't use that again, or at least it'll be a long time. But there's a lot of work, and like you mentioned earlier, Tails, you were talking about like sometimes it just looks better to build the game like in the software. I love doing that, and I think that looks great. And then it's like, you know, all this effort just to make a car and a guy move and he shoots a little, you know, that kind of thing. So it's a lot of work that goes into like what you guys do in like cinematics in general. I mean, it's you know, I can't stress enough. It's a lot more taxing than what I normally do. That's why I only throw a little bit in, you know, sometimes it's just a lot.
Just enough to keep them entertained, eh? Yeah, like I know how you feel, especially with combat scenes. Like when it comes to combat scenes, like Xenon is like the guy on the team for that. Like I absolutely can't stand making them.
Even with my little experience with it, it's a bit rough, you know, with the combat, because it's there's just so many effects that go into that too, I feel like. And you guys, I mean, here I go again glazing, but you guys, you know, you have a lot more details than I do. Like I'll have like a, you know, the muzzle flash on a gun, and I'm like, I'm done with this. This is taking forever. And you guys, I've seen it. I've seen what you guys do, and it's a lot better. So
thank you.
Yeah, much appreciated there, right?
Properly glazed.
You're welcome. All right, that's enough of the glazing. Let's get to the part where I hate you guys. Jeez. Dang it.
Yeah, tell us what we do wrong. Come on.
No, you guys are great.
Okay, so I'm gonna transition now kind of into the audience questions. So all these questions are coming from both our Discords, both our community posts, and I've just kind of cherry picked from all the sections there. Starting with the first one. This one was from MuffinHot4283. Who is better Rimworld content creator, Rat Knight or Tales of the Rim?
The part where I hate you guys. Obviously, it's Rat. No, I genuinely think you guys are great. Look, I'm, you know, I know a lot of people like me. I have like fans. I've got my cult, you know, my cult loves me. But you guys, I mean, you put a lot more effort in than I do, genuinely. I mean, just cinematics in general. If you're doing that over like a semi let's play story, like, you know, whatever you want to call it, like a narrative base, I mean, just genuinely, you're putting a lot more work in, and I think that should be, you know, commended and applauded. So I think you're better than I.
And vice versa, I think better than I. We'll
thank you.
In limbo.
I needed that.
I would be lying if I said I was not a viewer of the videos. Definitely not at work in the toilet, just watching them. Like, yeah.
You know, I mean, next time I'm narrating, I'll keep that in my mind. I'll give you a shout out. Yeah, while you're in there.
I'll be like, hey, he remembered me. From Fresh Mint Toothpaste. Thank you for the white teeth, by the way. Will you make a Mechanoid Empire like you did with the Gun Empire series and the Farming Empire series and etc.? Question mark.
I don't know. I would like to do that. There's a lot of different empires I'd like to do. I don't want to say yes, but, you know, I can't guarantee anything. That to me, as soon as you read it, I immediately am thinking of like all right, if we continue this into like a spacer age, you know, like save our ship kind of thing, it could be fun to have like, you know, a ship or like a what would you like a space station or something where we just create mechanoids and like, you know, mine asteroids. So it's already in my noggin now. So probably I would like to now for sure.
Have a mechanator.
Yeah, yeah. How do you? Okay, a little off topic. I'm so sorry to derail. How do you pronounce that? Mechanator?
Honestly, no idea.
I would think mechanizer.
No idea.
Geez, you know, like that's the biggest thing. I'm sure you guys experience it. I'm so sorry. I don't mean to derail, but my pronunciation of words, I'll be like, all right, this is right. And then somebody like in the comments, they're like, it's not how you say that. And I'm like, oh shit, all right, I'm sorry. It's just how I read it, you know. It happens all the time.
Actually, it's pronounced Mechanator.
I've
Unsubscribing.
seen some people say that they've done it for less, so I mean it's it's definitely possible.
Pronounce mechanator or whatever you said. Please drop the pronunciation in the comments.
Yeah, let us know, and Tails will actually PayPal you. I think $200 USD.
I wish
think
I
that's
had
what it
that
said.
much. Holy.
Yeah.
Let's talk Canadian.
Whoa.
It's not even real money, is it?
That'd be even better.
No, Canadian, you know, the Canadian dollar and or peso. It's real money, whatever it is. Anyways,
The Canadian peso.
I'm just joking.
How did you start making videos? I know we kind of touched on this, but maybe just touch on it again. This question was from @KenzieBall5093. Sorry if I just butchered that, and the main storm.
I know we kind of answered kind of like what got me into it, but I guess I could try to explain it a different way or some different details. I lived in a very small house at the time. I mean, this house isn't all that big either, but whatever. I lived in a little house, and I had this little spare bedroom that I was working in. I think at the time, don't tell anybody, of course, I had a pirated copy of Rimworld on an old PC that I had that had like a bootleg version of Windows. You know, it's from high school. I didn't have money, you know, and that's how I was playing. But you know, I had that, and I was like, I guess I was just kind of wanting to make videos. I think one of the first Rimworld videos I made, but I had ended up deleting because I was like, you know, I'm not going to do that. Or I didn't want to, or, you know, I just, you know, thought, well, maybe I shouldn't do YouTube or try it. I think it was and you guys might remember from a few years ago when the naked brutality, that scenario or whatever, I remember making a video about that, and that was how it started. And then, you know, with the Rimworld, you just have a shit ton of mods at your disposal at all times, and I was like, I like Skyrim, I'm going to try and make an orc colony, you know. Then I guess that's how I kind of got into making it, you know, just a love for the mods and stuff like that. To kind of give a different answer than what I gave before.
So I got the next one from Error File. Hey, I've actually seen that guy's name about 20 times in my modded Rimworld games. What inspires you to make Rimworld videos, my dude?
I just got your joke about the error file. I would
I didn't pick
say-
up on that either.
Yeah, it took me a second. I was like, is he a mod creator? Okay, cool. That's cool.
I was like, man, I'm telling horrible jokes right now. I should just shut up.
I love that one. That was really good. I'm just, you know, I'm a little behind on it. I would say, I don't know, inspiration. I'm kind of like, it might sound a little childish. I'm always a little insecure about it. You know, I was like the kid, man. I play with toys, and I'd be like, all right, this is a full-ass storyline for these Legos. You know, they're having a genocidal war or something going on, but, you know, it's like, I don't know, 2 blocks, right? You know, whatever. I just kind of, I like doing and having these creative stories and stuff like that. And this is going to sound sappy, but really what motivates me and inspires me to make the videos is just the audience. And I know that sounds sappy, but genuinely, like, I've said this a few times, I think, to the audience, but I normally I can't play games and just enjoy them. Like, I know that sounds so depressing, but like, if I'm playing a game, I'm like Rimworld, I'm like, this is a really good story and this is what could happen, but I have no one to share this with, you know? So I think what inspires me just to create more is just that people like it, like an audience that enjoys it and stuff like that. Because I think from the very beginning, I always told myself, if anybody's watching, if anybody enjoys it, a singular person, whatever, you know, as long as it gets some views, then, you know, I'm going to keep doing it because somebody's enjoying it.
that's a great way to segue into the next question, actually. So this question by Pixel is, do you still enjoy Rimworld, or are you just doing it for content?
No, I love Rimworld. Sometimes I get burnt out, and it lasts for maybe a few weeks, and it's probably not the best thing to do, but I just push forward. Like, I just keep going, you know? But whenever I start like a new colony or new series, that's why a lot of mine are, you know, maybe 8 to 10 episodes long normally. It's because I love the beginning of Rimworld and like starting a new colony and all the little things that happen in the very beginning. I'm not a very big fan of like late game. I love early game Rimworld. So, you know, it's not just for the content. It's, you know, I enjoy it. And with Rimworld, there's so many mods, you know, it's like a brand new game every time.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I want to kind of touch on what you said previous there, but you said when you're playing other games, it's kind of like hard to get into them. Like, do you feel that for me, when I like load up Steam, I'll like load up a game and it'll just sit on the loading screen for a bit. I'll be like, yeah, I don't want to play this. Do you get that kind of boredom of games nowadays where you just don't feel like playing anything anymore, and you just kind of get into the loop of just playing Rimworld?
Kinda, you know, I mean, so the thing is, for me, it's not just Rimworld. Like, you know, if the audience were enjoying something, I'd be all about it. You know, I'd be like, all right, here's this. You know, as long as I can work with it. I enjoy some games sometimes, but I have to be in a very particular mood for them. You know, I'm just not motivated to play them or whatever. You know, like a good example, not to drag on too long. I think it was about this time, whenever Starfield released last year, around maybe this time or December, whenever that was, you know. I had made a little video and my PC could barely run it, which I upgraded it some since then, and now it can run it. And I was playing it over the summer and I was like, this is kind of cool. I would spend all this time like on the ship, you know, you got your ship or whatever, and I would decorate it and all this stuff. Then I'm like, just at a certain point, I was like, I don't care because nobody's going to see this. This is pointless, you know, like I don't enjoy this anymore, because if I'm not doing it for someone to enjoy or like share it with, then I just don't care. So it's kind of like, I guess I don't feel a purpose with playing them most of the time, if that makes sense.
So you're finding that if you can't share your experience, you have a harder time playing those kind of games.
Right. And it also kind of dry, you know, it kind of goes back to like just a drive for wanting to make videos for people, or like stressing about it, because if I have an hour at night and I'm like, oh, I'm going to play Starfield, then I'm like, this is an hour I could have spent working or playing Rimworld and working on a video, you know. So it's kind of just, I don't know, like I said, just kind of looking for a purpose, I guess.
Almost like guilt in a way.
Yeah, I would say guilt. That's like the perfect, yeah. It's almost like, I don't know, it's kind of like, you know, if you have a family or whatever and you're, say, playing video games or whatever, and then, you know, maybe they're like, hey, you wanna come hang out with us? You want to spend time with us? And you're like, nah, you know, that's kind of how it feels. And again, I'm being very sappy and being like, you know, my audience is my family, but you know, I do care about them, and you know, I love just seeing their reactions to content. So it does kind of feel like that, and I kind of feel the guilt. Yeah, you're right.
So this is a great way to explain this next one. What's your favorite game other than Rimworld, or maybe favorite games? Like maybe you don't make content for them, but like, what do you play outside of Rimworld? And this question was by J99X.
That's a really good question. Probably Halo. I'm a huge Halo fan. I
love you now.
You love me. Oh, well, I loved you before, but that's fine. I'm glad that we're at least now on the same. We're on the same base now. I would say Halo though, but the problem is with the Halo franchise, they haven't. You know, Infinite was good, but there's not much after that. So I'm kind of, you know, just kind of drowning. I'm in a dry spell, I guess. Actually, a bit of a Halo drought.
And is Halo like really the only other thing other than Rimworld that you play?
Oh, I feel, yeah, sorry. I guess I should have had more. I apologize. Probably, man. I'm not too sure. Like I said, you know, sometimes I'll just kind of get into games where I kind of like playing them or whatever for like a split second. And I'm like, yeah, I could be doing something else. Maybe Red Dead. I like Red Dead 2, but just the storyline. I never played online or anything. Yeah, I would just say Halo, Red Dead, probably. That was about it. That's about it.
I noticed you've been kind of expanding into like Banner Lord, and there was a little bit of that, what was that IO game you were playing?
World Box.
I noticed you've expanded into those, but do you have any plans to expand into other games, or is that kind of on the down low right now?
No, I'll share that. I don't mind. I'm an open book. I want to do Kenshi. I just feel like there's going to be quite the learning curve. You know, I've seen some other people play it for sure. Like AA, he's played it. He's probably the only other person really I ever watched play it. And, I don't know. It just it feels like it would take me a little while to get used to it. That I you know, to be you know, this ain't on the DL or nothing. I was going to try some Minecraft on the channel, but I don't know if I'm ever going to upload that. I have a video kind of draws back to how I was talking about. You know, you start one and it's like, yeah, I'm going to scrap it, and I feel like shit. I was going to do, I think, maybe kind of a playthrough or whatever, like 100 days video or something in the RL Craft mod pack. I think that's about the only other plans that I was definitely going to try to do. Maybe some more Bannerlord. I mean, but, you know, other than that, I don't know for sure.
Genshi's a tough one. Like I own that game. I've tried playing it. I couldn't figure out the controls. Like, imagine if you actually like dedicate some time to it, like you could easily figure it out. But that one's a tough one, so I do wish you the best of luck with figuring that one out.
I thank you. I think I'll need it. That's what I was thinking. But I always think about that with Rimworld too, like originally, you know, getting into that and just how kind of the learning curve there as well. So I, you know, if I have enough time, maybe I could kind of figure it out.
I got one for you. Heading back over to the little Rimworld. Will you ever do a 100 days as a solo knight with a rat? This question's from Roger.
To build on that question, I think when he says with a rat, like an Xeno-type rat. An Xeno-type rat that is a knight.
I think so, yeah. I definitely would like to. I don't know if it'll be 100 days video. Initially, I had the idea, it's been over a year or so ago, which is so sad because I feel like time flies and there's never enough time to, you know, work on different series and stuff that people want. But I wanted to do a kind of like a medieval playthrough as the actual Rat Knight, you know, and I wanted to have cinematics in it. But I've noticed, and you know, like with different series where I do cinematics, it's almost like a test for those bigger projects like that I would like have more passion for, I guess. A lot of those are almost like tests because, you know, I'm like, okay, let's do some cinematics here. It's like, oh, okay, well, this video didn't perform as well, so now I know that might not be like something that I want to include in a video about, you know, the rat or whatever. So I definitely have plans for it, though. I guess I'm still kind of filling out what I want that to be like, though. So I don't know if it's going to be a 100 days video. I don't know, though. I kind of want it to be as well. So, but definitely something with the rat Xeno for sure.
That's gonna be awesome. I'll have to. I don't know if I ever sent you the mod list for when I made that YouTube group chat leaked video when I had you featured in it in that cage, like the rat knight that I built. I can't remember if I sent that to you, but I'm definitely going to have to build that character again for when I build this podcast because I'm gonna have it like kind of animated. Try and figure out how I did that and send you the mods that I used and whatnot. So hopefully that helps you with your Rat Knight series whenever you decide to make that. Continuing on, this is by Lady Dreamwriter. She asks, what is the next Rimworld series you plan to work on?
I think for the next one I have, and I've mentioned this in some videos, I think I'm going to work on a Rimworld Rags to Riches, kind of like, you know, the whole Zero to Hero kind of thing. I want that to take place in my RU universe with the logging empire, farming empire, gun empire, all the empires. Funny enough, it'll be the first one that's in that isn't titled as like an empire, but that's definitely what I want to build. I think in that, you know, that's going to be the next series essentially that I'm going to work on, but I just want to build a big empire in it where it's still working out the details, but I'm thinking like space travel or, you know, something like a SpaceX kind of company would be really badass. So I think that's going to be the next one for sure, though.
What exactly is your opinion on the newest DLC Anomaly for Rimworld? This one comes from the really awesome music producer DJ. Shout out to you. It was a very cringy joke, but it is what it is.
You gotta stop with those. They keep going over my head. I liked it though, you know, and you said you loved me earlier, so, you know, that was a good one. And I loved it. And I love you. Anyway.
XOXO. Only if the socks stay on.
All right, here he goes again. I would say with Anomaly, and I'd like to get your guys' opinion too, if you'd like to share them. But I'll tell mine first, so that I don't feel pressured, peer pressure. I would say it was a good. I feel like I'm going to piss people off. I feel like it was a good. Maybe a strong 6 out of 10. Just, I don't know. It was kind of strange to me. Like, I really liked it, and I liked the additions, but it didn't feel like a Rimworld like DLC, right? To me, it just felt like a mod, like like a mod pack or something. A really good one, nonetheless, but it just didn't really fit. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's I could see like at times it being really good and fitting really well, like just how the anomalies are explained with like an ancient architect, what is it, like an AI mind kind of shit. I really like that, but then other times I'm like, I don't know, I don't know how I feel about it.
It was kind of out of left field too, because like it wasn't very like really a thing that was expected to be a DLC. Like the month that it came in wasn't even October, I don't believe. I don't even remember when it released, but I don't think it was October.
I think it was I'm sorry, not to interrupt. I was going to say I think it was April or something like that. It was really strange. I completely agree.
Yeah, and like I don't remember what people were kind of thinking it was going to be, but it definitely was not that. And the thing with like, there's a lot of cool stuff that was added for like cinematics and stuff, like just like for content wise, like you can do so much with what they added. I barely play the game anymore as it's intended to be played. Like I'm almost exclusively just launched the game to make cinematics for it.
Same here.
Tried playing the game with Anomaly, and that shit's hard. I don't know how you guys do it. Like that's a tough DLC.
Well, to kind of add on to that, like it is, but I feel like people don't care as much either, if that makes sense. Like I don't really see too many people as interested in Anomaly, and I mean, like I was never really super invested with how it was intended to be played. I like that, and I like when people do that. But for me, I feel like I just want to kind of make my own, loosely using the Empire and the Shattered Empire and stuff like that. Those were pretty good, but with the Anomaly, it's almost hard to use them because it's like, I don't know, like I like the addition of Flesh Beast and stuff like that, opening up like the giant sunken cave in the ground and stuff, but I don't like that it's all tied to the monolith and stuff like that. To me, that's just kind of shoehorned in there. It's a little strange. So
this is going to be something that's going to be really funny, but I think Tails and I can relate. Is I have actually not played the Anomaly update even now, just because I only exclusively like open Rimworld to make videos now. Because like when there's constantly projects, and I'll be like, all right, let's go play a little bit of Rimworld. And then just in the back of your head, it's like, but wait, what if you just do one scene and then next thing you know, you're never playing the actual game? So,
right.
A funny little thing. I can't really comment on the dang DLC because I haven't played it.
To add to that, when we switch to game playing mode, we have to completely revise our entire mod list. Like our mod list is not built for playing the game. You will crash. You will get errors. You do not want our mod list because it is not intended for Rimworld as it is intended to be played.
And then you got to switch it back, and you're like, all right, well, it took about 2 hours to switch between mods. It's all good. Now it's time to go to bed.
That's always the worst when you have like a massive list. How many do you guys normally run with?
I think I have about 1,000 installed, but I run about 500 of that.
Holy shit. I thought you were going to say 1,000 at first, that you run 1,000. I was going to be, there's no way. That's just impossible. I don't mean to call you a liar.
Just a burning PC.
That's insane.
I stopped counting a while ago.
I forget how many I had on my the Gun Empire series, but I remember people were like, just like, can you help me please, because like this isn't working. I was like, I really have no idea how mine is working, so I'm so sorry, I don't know what to tell you. You'll have to go through the individual ones, like I'm not sure what to do.
On that note, the most asked question in the comments ever What is the mod list?
I feel like I'm not sure why people like. All right, sometimes I do forget, and it'll be especially embarrassing if in the video I try to address that by saying, if you're ever wondering, it's always in the video description, and then I'll like forget to put it in there because I'm like, the mod list on its own. Like if you have close to 100, 200 mods, you're like, this is going to take forever. I don't have time right now. I'll do it later. And then you forget, and then people are like, it's not there. So, but it's always in the video description, I swear. Unless I forget to put it there, then it'll be blank. And then you can comment and be angry, and then I'll remember after you yell at me a little bit.
And you see, for us, it's a different story because we use those 500 mods in every single video. So you're not going to have a good curated experience for what we have just made. So it's better if people just ask us, hey, what's this mod at this time? Instead of us trying to make a huge mod list and you're going to have a bunch of stuff you don't need or want because it's all curated for cinematic. And honestly, like there's so much stuff that we use like with map building that we don't even know what half the stuff is. Like you have to ask us and we'll dig in and find it.
I actually have a funny picture to share. If you want to put it in like post editing, I'll send it over to you. But like every time we release a new video, I'll be at work and look at the comments like, oh, look at these comments. And one of them will be like, this is like, I love this video. It's great. And then the other 20 is the mod list. Give me the mod list. And then like some random comment in Russian, which also says, what is the mod list? It's like, oh boy. So that's always funny.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't quite understand that. Like, like I'm not, some people may not know where it's at, but to me, if I'm like, I want to know what mod list they're using, I'm like, I'll check the video description. But maybe that's just because like, I'm a YouTuber and I put it there. You know what I mean? Maybe that's why I think that. But like, to me, it's like, where else are you going to find it at? Where else would I put it? In the video title?
Yeah, start putting in the title, all 100 characters.
To be honest, I think I kind of thought of it. I know a lot of people will say, like, what's the mod? They'll just ask what the mod is. And I think a lot of the time people don't necessarily understand with like Rimworld. Like say you're playing, I don't know, Minecraft or something. I know there's a lot of different mods there, but you'll find like a mod pack and it's like download, okay, it's done. But with Rimworld, it's like you've got a lot of them, over 100 or with you guys over 1,000, of course, or 500 that you're running. But it's like I think there's a misconception that people might think it's just one mod or like a handful or something.
Well, even with like Star Wars, for instance, you might be running a Star Wars game, but you have like 12 different mod creators that are making Star Wars mods. So it's not just like you're downloading all these Star Wars from one guy.
Yeah, that's a big thing too. Yeah, it's like, especially with, like Rimworld, like if you're creating a story or whatever, it's like, well, I really like the art style and I love this mod that this person made for the clone armor, but it's like, I really want some droids to fight and to like have the clones kill, but it's like, where am I going to find that? Somebody else made it. Yeah.
And so what is your favorite Rimworld DLC? And this question was by Yay.
I would say Ideology. I don't know if it's just because like, I know with Ideology, when it first came out, I was so excited. I had just got off work and I immediately jumped into making a video. And, at the time, I think it got like 1,000 views or something in one night or something like that. And for me, that was like, I shit a brick. I was so excited. But, that might taint my judgment a little bit. But I really like the simple stuff in Rimworld. And I know Ideology can kind of be complex, but I like the here's a ritual, here's a holiday, stuff like that. That's just like the, I don't know how to explain. It's the cream of the crop. It really butters my biscuit. I'm all about the little stuff like that. So definitely Ideology.
And it was nice with Ideology because you could build a colony kind of with how you wanted it to be. Like if you wanted tunnelers, then you didn't have to worry about them needing to go outside and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, or like a BDSM colony that likes the whole scarification and stuff. Whatever you're into. Sure.
Whatever suits your fancy.
Cannibalism.
Yeah, butters. Yeah. Okay. Actually, that was I think that was my colony, my first colony with Ideology that I made. I can't remember what we called it. Some kind of cannibals, though. I think we were cannibals at some point. Fun.
From our beautiful music producer DJ. Are you gonna make tutorials or tip videos so we can play like a pro? I'm guessing revealing your secrets of how to be a master MLG Rimworld player.
Oh yeah. Well, if I can find a pro Rimworld player, I'll ask him if he can make one, and I'll show it to you.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. My thing is like, I'm not very good at tutorials, you know what I mean? And a lot of the time I'll mess up, with like, I used to struggle for the longest time with defenses and making sure you have enough food to eat before winter so you don't start starving to death and having to eat corpses or, whatever. I might make some at some point, but I'm not very good at it. Somebody like Newbert or somebody like that, they're really good at it, You might be more interested in somebody like him because I'm not as savvy at tutorials.
Flish was wondering, would you make a behind the scenes video then?
I don't know. If I ever did that, it would probably be if I started live streaming at some point. I'm still not doing this full time. A little while ago, I announced that I was going to maybe in a few weeks, and just stuff changed with my day job, and I'm still there for now. So, I've got a little bit more time to work on videos and stuff than I had. So it's better, but I'm not doing it full time. But if I ever do, I'd like to live stream and do that stuff, to show you the behind the scenes and stuff.
Yeah, there's a few YouTubers that I think all like take their content from Twitch and then turn it into a story or something like that. But that does lead me to another question. Do you have like behind the scenes footage on your Patreon, or do you have any plans to kind of like release back end stuff on the Patreon?
On the Patreon, I'll normally do updates and stuff like that. Like I'll show the work that I'm doing. I don't really, I guess I could. I don't do it right now. I don't like send a, like here's me editing or here's me doing some narration, and stuff. Because I don't know, to me that seems like something people might not really care about. But, I'll have like, okay, here's what I worked on today, like 10 minutes out of this video and stuff like that. At one point, I think I might have done some bloopers of, like outtakes from my narration and stuff. But that's about it. Most of it, it's just kind of like early access to videos and like, like here's a portion of this video, stuff like that.
So this is a question I think all three of us can answer. How many hours do you have on Rimworld from Blitzkrieg? Don't let him go near Poland.
I think I checked how many. It was like, I can't remember for sure. I want to say it was like 400 something thousand, but it's not my like original account. I used to have a different one when I first started and I lost access or something. It's one I had for years. So
hold on, you said 400,000 or 4,000?
400,000. You know what? If I'm wrong, I'll make a correction in the comments somewhere. But I want to say it's 410 or something thousand, something like that. It's a little bit.
I definitely want a screen cap of that when you have a chance.
Dude, I'm going to be so embarrassed because I might just be completely wrong. Maybe it is 4,000. I can't remember what it was. 400,000 sounds pretty out there though. So maybe let's say 4,000. I'm probably wrong. I can't remember. I checked it yesterday because I was like just kind of dicking around, and I was like, I wonder how many hours I have in Bannerlord, and then this. So, yeah, you know what? Let's say 4,000. I think I'm way off base. I'm sorry. I'm tired, and yeah, I'm a little sleepy and a little drowsy.
I'm at 2,340. How about you, Xenon?
Oh boy, I think I am at That's actually not what I expected it to be. I'm at 3,500.
Jesus.
Gotta get my numbers up.
We're pretty out there, yeah. If we add all of ours together, maybe we'll be close to 400,000, and then I can claim that. I'll steal your guys. I'm gonna check it. I'll check it tomorrow.
The next question will be, how long will it take us to get to 400,000 hours on Rimworld?
I'm just gonna leave it running at all times.
Next YouTube title.
Xenon has already dropped dead.
I played 400,000 hours of Rimworld, and here's what I found.
Oh my god, a new idea. Write that down.
Found a glitch in the first 5 seconds. You can get literally everything, but I have not found my sanity. It's just gone, man. Randy is my new overlord.
long gone.
So Rat Vampire was wondering, when are you going to announce world domination?
I think Rat Vampire is behind in times. It was actually announced to the cult a long time ago. So maybe not a real cult member, Rat Vampire. I'm sorry. You missed the memo. But yeah, we're already dominating. We're coming for Canada, I think next week. So, you know.
Oh, shit. Good to know.
No, you'll be spared. No worries.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
We're going to call you Tales of the Rat. You know, you have to join the cult. That's the only way. But
sounds good with me. Cattleman was wondering, how are you doing, Ratman?
I'm doing pretty good. I feel like I'm all right. You know, pretty well, I suppose. Better, sometimes better than others, but I'm alive and kicking.
Do you regret making any of the series? If you do, which one? By Commander Schlatif and
I would say, I guess I touched on it earlier with the Farming Empire series that I did. I wouldn't say that I regret making it per se. That's probably the closest that I've ever came to regretting to, you know, like make a series. I just wish that if I could just completely restart, you know, it would be completely different than how it was. There's a lot that I liked from it, but then, you know, of course, there's a lot that I didn't. So that would probably be the only one that I'd ever come close to saying that.
Would you? This one's kind of this one's interesting. Would you ever do a series with all the Rimworld mods? And that's also from our favorite DJ.
If it were, you know, possible at all, sure, I'd be down for it. I'd be all over it. That would actually be really fun, but you know, I don't know how it would be possible. I could make something out of that for sure. You know, I'm all about the like weird ass shit where you'll have like, here's a medieval faction and then, oh, here's some space marines from Warhammer, you know, like I'm down for that kind of stuff, whatever, you know, or a sentient worm that, you know, has 6 arms. I don't give a shit. I'm all about it. So I could work with that. I'd be down.
This is going to be something that I think a lot of people are wondering. Are you a 40K fan?
A what now?
Warhammer 40K.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought you said something completely different.
And that was from Craig Fitz.
From Craig Fitz. My bad, Craig. I love you.
It's all right, Craig. We love you, Craig. Anyways, I'm trying to think of how to answer it. I would say yes. I'm kind of a light fan. You know, like I know a little bit about it. Like I so desperately want to be a fan, but there's a very complex universe there that it's a little hard to wrap my head around. It's going to take some time, but I'm kind of a fan. Sure, I want to be.
Do you have any plans to make a Grimworld video, like with the Grimworld DL, or I guess mods, not DLCs? This one was from Hermio.
I definitely do. It kind of draws back into the question from Craig. I just want to. Because especially if I made the Clone Army videos, like I know about Star Wars, you know, and I can mix that with my own narratives, but I don't know enough about like Warhammer and stuff and 40K. You know, I don't know enough about it, but I do plan on doing one at some point once I do, you know more about it, once I'm more intertwined.
Yeah, my last podcast was with ClashGore. You kind of sent me his contact information a while back. And I was learning a lot about Warhammer. Like I knew nothing, like clean slate. And then I started to be making some cinematic videos for him. And then I've been kind of picking up more on the lore. And then Space Marines 2 coming out kind of help with that as well. So kind of been diving in a little bit more, but I'm probably at the same spot as you with just being like scratching the surface.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to get into. It's there's just so much. It's very intimidating once you kind of start learning more about it. ClashGore, he's a great guy too. I haven't talked to him in a while, but yeah, I know he was one of the people that had asked me originally if I would be willing to do a series over it. And, I had told him, yeah, too, but, I gotta, to make it good, I have to know, more about like the lore and the universe and stuff like that before I could ever do that. And, not like he's like, oh, can you do this for me? He's just like, oh, you should make a series with my mods and stuff. I don't want to misrepresent what we talked about or anything like that, so, but, yeah, it's definitely something that I want to do. And it's very intimidating, to try and figure out and wrap my head around.
Yeah, it's quite it's a huge universe, and you don't want to step on the wrong toes too and do something that you're not supposed to do.
Yeah, in the Clone Army series that I did too, I had like the character Crimson, who was like, in the Space Marine armor and stuff. I just added those in originally because I was like, these mods, amazing art style. It's badass. I love it. I think this would be great. People in my comments kind of like Warhammer and stuff. So I think, this would be a cool addition. Immediately after like we started kicking the shit out of the Space Marines, everybody was like, no, that wouldn't happen. That's impossible. And I was
Hold
like,
on
I'm
a
so
minute.
sorry. I have no idea. Everybody, nobody really liked that. They're like, if this were accurate, they would absolutely dominate you guys. And they're right, after knowing more about it. And if I would have known more at the time, I would have, I wouldn't have done it that way.
So unfortunately, this will be the last question that I ask before I have to go hop off because I got work at 5 and it's almost about 1 a.m. So I'm gonna be feeling it, Mr. Krabs, but that's all right. This has been a very lovely podcast. Would there be a possible collab between you two, Rat and Tails, by Chief Rat?
I love Chief Rat. Chief is Chief Rat. That's my boy. I guess I'll just kind of jump in. I would like to, if you'd be down, Tails. I'm down for it. I don't know what I could contribute to you, but I could definitely try for sure. Whatever you'd be interested in.
Yeah, I'd be open to it. I'm not sure what we would do, but we could definitely find something. Even if it was us making a cinematic for the start of one of your videos, and then you doing something for ours, like maybe voice acting a rat. Who knows?
Sure, yeah. I'm down for it. Whatever, yeah.
Do a joint only Rims channel. Actually, you know what? I was trying to think of like a funny joke to that. I think just the original name would have been better than what I just said.
You just got us demonetized.
I'm down for it. I'm
right.
down for whatever, man.
We're rebranding.
All right, well, thanks, Xenon. You have a good nap.
I love you, buddy. Yeah, you have a good sleep.
I love you too, Sir Rat. And I'll dream about you in this podcast, and I'll stop. Yeah, my brain's already rotting. All right, good night, guys.
Astute and Ruben both kind of asked PTSD run, like Rimworld run. Not 100% sure what that means, but one of them came in from somewhere on your channel to your Discord to ask that question. You might understand that a bit more than I do. So can you make a PTSD Rimworld run?
I don't necessarily understand. I kind of do. So, like, I don't know. Maybe it's just a meme or a goof. Maybe somebody's pulling the old rat tail here. I don't know, though. Maybe what they're asking for in that is like a more narrative-based, maybe upon experiencing like the battlefield or something, and PTSD. Something I could work with something like that. That could be something interesting. Especially with cinematics and stuff like that. I love the, battle and war and whatever. I think it's really badass. I think it's cool. I think it looks good when I, try to make stuff like that, especially when you guys make stuff like that. But I don't know. It's a lot of, I feel like it'd be a lot of keyframe animation and stuff, and to do it justice. And then when you tackle issues like PTSD and stuff like that, I know I'm just like a little Rimworld Let's Play YouTuber narrative kind of guy, but I don't want to mess that up. And that's actually kind of a sensitive topic. So I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to be like, I don't want to not do it justice, if that makes sense. Yeah, for sure.
I'm not going to ask that one after that one. Can we expect to see a Marshall and Rebels versus Void series? And that was by Dummy 3.0.
I mean, for sure. So at the end of this, the RKRU, it has to end at some point, right? And as it's coming to an end, what a lot of people have asked me for is, with the Clone Army universe and the RKRU with the Marshals and the Rebels, to mix them together. And then in the Clone Army universe, of course, there is Void. I would say yes, for sure. It's definitely, even if it's a non-canon kind of crossover series or whatever, I definitely want to do that. But we have to build them up. They couldn't take them right now, for sure. They would immediately get annihilated. So I would like to do that, though, at some point, for sure.
So that's a great way to answer this next one. When is the Empire series starting again? What do you have in mind for it? This was you might have touched on this already, but this one was asked by Advisor Modded.
We kind of did, kind of like with the next one I'm going to be working on. I think that'll be my next series. I don't plan on finishing the current one, the Restart on Death series, the one where I revive him and stuff in a new mod list. I don't plan on ending that before I begin this one. That one is one I want to keep going just on the back burner at all times if I need to, or we can pick it back up whenever. That's kind of why it's designed as like, a completely new mod list and stuff because it's always going to be fresh. But I think for sure that it's going to be the, Rags to Riches series. That's, and I don't know. I've already started working on it. The problem with that is I have to take a good bit of time to set up the factions on the planet. And so I don't want to say it's going to be out like, this week or next week. It'll probably be a little bit of time because it's kind of taxing to give a little bit of information on that. I don't mean to ramble, but for the RKRU series, I use the same seed for the planet each time, 30% coverage, and I'll create the same factions. But like, for example, the Gun Empire series, that save was from the previous version of Rimworld. There's a lot of mods that I'm using that I want to take out and add some new ones, stuff like that. So I have to make a new save, new planet, yada, 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 right? Well, I also have to use the faction control mod and individually place every single settlement from every single faction, in the proper place. It's based on a map. Yeah, it's kind of rough. It's based on a map from Jim Jam, the Daft one. Shout out to him. He's one of my Discord members. He's a moderator. Really makes some awesome maps and stuff, and it's based on his design. So, but every time, every save, I have to do that, and that's why it hasn't came out yet, just because I really dreaded trying to tackle that.
Yeah, that's quite a feat, especially with you saying you have to manually place all the factions again. That's a lot of work. I don't think people understand how much work that is.
No, I think people, originally when I done that for the Gun Empire series, people were like, oh, I love how you have all your factions in their individual, little territories and stuff. And can I get a copy of the world? And maybe there is a way, but I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure out a way to do the file unless I just sent the save file over or whatever, but I think what it was is at the time I had already been so far into the series that I was like, you're not going to get a fresh copy. It's going to have all the characters and stuff like that. It's not just a blank world, that you could download, unfortunately, with the factions in their individual, spots or whatever.
I'm not sure if you've ever talked to VQ. He's a Rimworld YouTuber, but I've noticed on his Patreon that he shares his save files. I'm not sure if he sends it from the start or from the end, but that might be something to look into. See kind of how he does it. Maybe you can kind of emulate that.
Yeah, I definitely, I could. I think it's possible. Like I said, if I had even considered it in the beginning, I think that was the first time anybody was even interested in, getting one of my save files, or at least that they made it vocally said it or whatever. Because I would have tried to have thought of that ahead of time. That's a good idea, though, that I should probably do that for the upcoming series if that's if that's what he does too.
Yeah, it's definitely. I'll send you a link to it, and then you can kind of look at it yourself and maybe figure out what you want to do from there. So Pure Heart, they did ask, what are your favorite mods?
That's a good question. I expected questions like this, and I thought of them ahead of time, and yet still don't exactly have an answer.
Top 3.
I would say, because there's just so many, there's, and they're all great. It's so hard to pick. I could, I'm trying to think, man. I don't want to say anything too simple, people don't want to hear me say the Common Sense mod or something, because I really like that one. That was a good one too. It just, they add, people are going to be like, oh, that shit's boring, simple sidearms. I love little mods like that though, where it's why shouldn't, a pawn be able to carry 2 guns at once?
Yeah.
Oh man, I really like Medieval Overhaul. I love Medieval Rimworld in general, so that one's really good. It's probably one of my top 3. If we're not talking the little small simple ones, we'll say Medieval Overhaul. I like the one that the Marshals is from is really good. The art style is a little. It's not bad, of course. It's just a little pixelated. The Rimworld Westernization pack, I believe, something like that's what it's called. Napoleonic Rim for sure. I actually made a video of it on my channel. A mod review is the first one I ever did. Napoleonic Rim is really good. You got the muskets, you got the cannons, you got the you just Napoleonic times, all that great shit. It's amazing. That would probably be. Yeah, really though, it would be number 1 out of the top 3 for sure.
Will you plan on making a new season of the Clone Army? And when can we expect to see the first episode of that released? That was from Sergeant Conway and Tenebris.
I definitely am going to do the next season of it. There's a lot of pressure on me to do that one, and it's a lot, man. Like I assume you've played against you've probably fought against Void, right? For sure.
I don't have any videos against Void yet.
I mean, just in general, though.
Just like playing against Void. Yeah, they're tough.
Yeah, really tough, right? They're really tough, like tough as shit. Like it's their, there's some bad MFers for sure. So like, with the clone army, it's really fun, but like it's like super difficult, and I'm intimidated by it. I'm very nervous about playing it, because it's just one of those things, like if you do something wrong, and that's why in the Clone Army series, you see me nuking Void and trying to kill as many of them as possible, because even a few of them, if there's like 2 or 3 of them in a little group coming at you, you have a whole like clone army, you're going to start losing clones because they just won't die and they won't stay dead, and it's very difficult. I definitely plan on doing a season 3 though. I would say closer to December or January if I absolutely had to. It could come sooner, could come a little later, but probably around that time. I want to, but again, I just want to do it justice, and I gotta be in the right headspace, or it's going to turn out awful.
Yeah, that's the tough thing about it too, especially if you said the difficulty, and with it being a let's play, you don't want to just keep restarting because you fucking lost your whole colony. So it's really tough to like make those videos and have them flow right and just not be a complete like waste because you keep losing and dying, right?
And then too, it's like I think I always said I wanted to do season 3 in the Save Our Ship too, but I don't know if Void plays well with that, and if Void isn't going to be like in a frigate battle with us, it's kind of like what's the point? I don't want to try to individually play, like replace all the pawns on like an enemy ship with Void, or something like that. It'd be really taxing, and then it's also kind of bullshit. It's like they weren't actually there. I put them there.
What they don't know will not hurt them.
Right. If it's for the narrative, sometimes I'll make that sacrifice. A lot of people know, like in my my Gun Empire series and stuff like that, those pawns, those factions, as far as I'm aware, there's not a mod that you can make them spawn with certain like weapons and, uniforms and stuff. I will individually dress every single one of them, enemy, like martial, rebel, whatever. And, it's difficult. It's a lot of work to do that. So
I know exactly how you feel, and it is lots of work.
It could be like, real, I know, but overwhelming too, where you're like, all right, I got all of these pawns dressed. I've got them ready to fight us. And then it's like, oh shit, now I got this big ass raid I got to take care of. And, hopefully I don't die. Like did I make them too powerful? And then it's like, well, I don't want to, you can't make them like underpowered, because then it's like, well, why didn't, it's bullshit. It's all, whatever.
Yeah. Finding that balance, like where they're not overpowered and where they're not underpowered, and then making it so it's like perfect for the series, and it's not just a load of crap every time you fight them. And it's hard to make people not complain, but I feel like no matter what you do, someone's going to complain.
Yeah, I always try to go with overpowered if I can, and it just kind of bites you in the ass sometimes. For example, that Restart on Death series, I was doing an episode the other day. I think the episode's already up, where the like mercenaries had dropped in drop pods, and of course that faction doesn't. They just have like standard plate armor. And stuff like that, stuff that we would be able to take out. So I give them like spacer armor and like neo samurai armor and stuff like that. And I was like, all right, I have to make them overpowered, because otherwise it's going to be too easy. So I gave one of them this like doomsday rocket launcher type of thing, except I think it fires like 2 or 3 doomsday rocket launchers at a time. And so I'm thinking like, all right, well, nobody's going to be upset about that. This is obviously overpowered and stuff like that. And I almost got the main character that we're supposed to keep alive killed within, like 2 or 3 episodes. I think I showed it in the video. It came a literal like a space or 2 away from killing him. Like it was so close to just obliterating him.
Oh my lord!
It was almost over before it got started.
Yeah, at least that didn't happen. You didn't have to like restart that video. That would have been a pain.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with that, especially with that series, it's like, whatever goes. Like that, if he died there, it's like, all right, it's over with. You know, I'll try to make a narrative of them like burying him and stuff, and we can have a little bit more fun in this world, but it's over. You know what I mean? Like we're moving on to a new mod list and stuff. You know, it's, you know, I don't want people to ever think like, you know, I'm always like save scumming or something. Like, you know, if I'm really close to whatever I want a main character to do or say or something in like an episode or whatever, like we talked about earlier, you know, you got the founding members of like the Gun Empire or whatever. Next episode it's all over, and I want them to survive until like this point. They're going to survive until this point.
They have plot armor.
Yeah, just for a little bit though, you know, not all the time. If they die in like like episode 2, you know, if I have 2 founding members and they're the main characters or whatever, and one of them dies in the second episode, you know, whatever, I don't care. Somebody else is taking their place now. You know, I try not to do plot armor and stuff like that unless I really feel like I need to for the narrative, you know.
Yeah, that makes sense because you want to try and keep it as Rimworld storytell generator as possible, but you also want it to flow the way you want it to flow to tell a good story.
Right. I always want the endings and stuff that, you know, people are really wanting to see. So sometimes little things are fabricated, but, you know, I feel like people count on me too to do good. And I'm sure just as you know, after playing it for so long and so many hours, you get good at it. You know, 400,000 hours like me, you know, like I said earlier, 400,000. I feel so stupid for saying that. But like you do get good at it. It's like, okay, here's a raid. Here's what's happening. It's sappers, you know, like I know what to do. You know, I've done this 1,000 times. And you always want to do right by the audience. Like, you know, if I were save scumming every time and stuff like that, I feel like shit. You know what I mean? So it's like, if I die, I die. It happens, you know, or whatever happens.
This another question from DJ. I think he has like a good chunk of these questions here. Are you, or will you ever make a new vanilla expanded video or sequel of any of your Rimworld series?
I think so. I'm kind of doing some sequels anyways, like the Restart on Death. I mean, it might as well be a sequel because I tried the series before. I done the 100 Days videos with vanilla expanded. I like to just do a series of it, you know. A lot of the time I'll do the 100 Days videos. I've mentioned it sometimes in videos, but like I do it to keep stuff fresh. You know what I mean? It's so fun to just have one video where you play with all these different mods. Like it just kind of spices it up a little bit for me. And you know, sometimes like I'll do the narrative, like, you know, series. I'll have like 8 to 10 episodes or even more sometimes. Sometimes I just want a little one-off thing to kind of, you know, keep it fresh for me. But yeah, I think we're going to try, I'm going to try to do a sequel to it's like the medieval Ye Olde Knights is what I had called it. Basically like medieval tech knights and stuff fighting, you know, like spacer tech and stuff like that. I had done it maybe about a year or 2 ago. I think I'm going to try to do that in the future. That's about the only sequel I think I have planned really per se, but I've kind of done that with with some other ones that I done a few years ago now that I'm a little bit better at it, you know.
This is a really serious question. I don't know how you're going to take this one.
Uh-oh.
So kind of prepare yourself, I guess.
Sure.
Okay, so Storyblocks was asking, are you the goobiest goob of goob?
Oh, I don't actually talk about politics, Storyblock. I'm sorry, I'm not into politics. But you know, I don't know. You know, I'm not going to vote. I don't think I'll vote in this election. But thank you for, you know, I appreciate that. You know, yeah, I think I am actually. Yeah, now that I think about it.
Yeah, Mantix X was wondering, what tools do you use for your videos? Like, I guess, recording software, your animation, and storyboards?
Right now, I'm using, what's it called? Wondershare, Filmora 13, I think, through Wondershare, or however it is. I've been using that since maybe the Alcohol Empire series, like around about 2 years ago or something like that. And I've just, you know, I really like it. It's got music. I mean, it's got effects and stuff like that that come in handy. You know, it's kind of all in one, so that's what I have been using. I'm open to using other ones, but that's, you know, that's the current one I'm with.
And that's for video editing. What do you use for recording?
OBS, yeah. Sorry, I didn't think about that. I can use Filmora 13 for for recording as well, but OBS, bread and butter. I feel like everybody, I should have answered still, but I feel like everybody uses OBS.
Yeah, I think there's actually a few that use like NVIDIA's in-game software, but they're pretty few and far between. And then I guess storyboards, you kind of answered that already. You kind of have notes and stuff. You don't really have a storyboard.
Yeah, not necessarily, just whatever I'm thinking. I'll, I might jot some stuff down in the notes, how I kind of want to move in a certain direction and things like that, but that's about it.
Historian Fox Phillips was wondering if you've ever considered writing a book, drawing a comic, or animating something for the several characters and story arcs that you have.
I definitely have, but I don't know. I like narrating. I like playing the game, but a big part about making videos in Rimworld is the storyteller and I am the narrator for the most part, 90% of the time. So it's like, yeah, it's kind of like I'm waiting for something to happen there and then I talk about it. For a book, I would probably have to come up with that unless I just based it on exactly what happened in the videos. And, I would like to, I just don't know if I exactly have the credentials. A few people have reached out to me, a handful of people, I should say, asking, if I want to work on something like that. And it's like, I don't think I'm, really suited for it right now, but maybe in the future. Sure.
Do you record singular sentences often, or are you a one-take wonder? A pyromaniac?
I would say, I'll record a little bit and then I'll just kind of like while it's in my head, okay, here's what I want to say about this. And I'll record that. Sometimes I have to go back and delete that because I'll be like, we're building this monument and, I don't know, we'll say Josh or whatever. Josh is going to live here forever and ever and he's going to love it here and we're going to build a big farm. And then like 2 scenes later, Josh is dead. It's like, I probably shouldn't have said that, I'll do a little bit at a time and record over it and then change as needed. Sometimes I can tell I'm not in the mood or I'm not in the right headspace and I have a really bad habit of being repetitive with words and stuff. People call me out for it all the time. So if I have more time to kind of, plan it out or even just step back for a second and kind of think of like better words and synonyms and stuff to use, I'll do that. But it's normally just a little bit at a time, narrate and what have you, keep going like that.
That honestly sounds like the best way to do it. That way, like you said, it's still fresh in your head and then you don't have to worry about what happened in 3 hours ago. At least it's there now and you can document it as you go.
Sorry, I was just going to touch on that a little bit more. I guess with that too, and I guess it kind of ties in with the storyboarding. A lot of the time, the only thing that I will, do word for word like that, and I'll have like planned out and I'll do it all at once, is like an intro, to a video. If I'm thinking of like what I want to show and what I want to say, I'll write that down and immediately just, as soon as I can, I just want to throw that in there because it's about the only, thing that's a little bit different, I guess, than how I normally do them. Yeah,
for sure. Mika W21 was asking, why did you start making Mountain Blade videos?
I really like it. Like, years ago, I used to watch videos about Mountain Blade. I think it was Warlord or something along those lines, whatever the first one was.
Was it Warband? I'm probably messing up.
No, I think we're mixing them together.
Warband.
Warband, yes, Warband. I used to love watching Warband, and specifically, I would love watching like mods, like with muskets and Napoleonic times and stuff like that. So when I found the Empires of Europe mod for Bannerlord, I was so excited to just play it, and it kind of brings back the whole, because I know what, or at least I feel like I know what my audience would like, or at least a good bit of them. If you like Rimworld, you'll probably like Bannerlord, or you'll probably like Kenshi. It's just kind of in our sphere here, of like games. So I kind of expected that people might like that. I also do polls on the channel all the time, and I think before I bought Bannerlord and Kenshi, they were on sale when I ended up buying them, so I just bought them together. But I ended up putting a poll on the channel of what people would want to see, and a good portion of people had voted for Kenshi and Bannerlord. So I was like, I'll get them. And as I started playing it with that mod, like I was talking about, I just loved it. And then, it's kind of, I just wanted to share it with the audience and stuff like that. So we could all enjoy it together.
Mountain Blade was probably one of the first PC games I ever played.
I don't know how you feel about it. I would assume you like it. It's I don't know. It's really good. Like, maybe it's just where I always play Rimworld, but it really breaks up the monotony for me.
Yeah, it's a fun game. I haven't played it in a minute. And I think there's a few of them out now. I think I have the very first one, and then I have Warband for sure, and then I think whatever one had guns, that first introduced guns.
Yeah, I will say, towards like, I think somebody had commented this today on one of my recent videos. After a while, it gets repetitive, and it really does, because you're seeing like, oh, here's a new city, but it looks like the other cities, and it's kind of like, well, I've shot at these guys 100 times, but it's fun. It is.
And you're playing that completely modded, eh?
Yeah. I think I had shout out to them. I think it's Empires of Europe 1700 something like that is the mod. You can always find. I mean, if you want to watch mine or whatever, you can find it on the workshop easy, but it's in the mod list as well, and it's basically all just based on those mods.
Historian Fox Phillips had a question. Do you have any plans on making a regular Bannerlord playthrough?
I would like to. I want to, but it's new to me. But Bannerlord's been out for like 4 years now or something like that. I don't know if everyone would be interested in it. I would definitely be interested in trying it in a different, kind of like a different style, like a narrative style, but not necessarily like, oh, we started Bannerlord. More like, okay, here's what I'm, like a challenge, like here's what I can do, here's what I can't do, that kind of thing. I would definitely like to. It's kind of like with Vanilla Rimworld, right? Like, nobody's all that interested in Vanilla Rimworld compared to the smorgasbord of mods. There's a lot of mods.
Yeah, really though, because like Vanilla was fun to watch, and sometimes it's fun when people go back and do a Let's Play on Vanilla, but there's only so much you can do with it, right? You're either playing to send your ship off, or I guess playing to beat the Anomaly and the Obelisk, but yeah, it gets real tough just playing with without mods. Like I can't do it anymore. It's impossible for me.
Yeah, it's kind of like drugs. At a certain point, you just need them. You can't go on without them. Yeah, it really is.
Do you have any recommendations or kind of people you've kind of seen coming up for YouTubers, like Rimworld YouTubers? Do you have any channels you want to shout out, or anyone you see that's maybe not getting enough spotlight on them?
Yeah, so there's this channel called Tales of the Rim. They're really great. Not that you guys are real small or anything, but, up and coming, and you guys put a lot of work in. You guys are great. I will level with you, to be honest, like I play so much Rimworld. I don't really watch too much Rimworld content. There is a guy, if you're into Let's Plays, he's really good. It's Fire Mage. It's just Fire Mage. His though, is Fire Mage 1934. Fire Mage 1934. He's doing a Let's Play. I think this is his very first series.
Ooh.
He's really good. I like to, I actually like to watch him. I don't know. I play Rimworld so much. I'm not too interested in a lot of Rimworld videos. But he's definitely up and coming. He's doing really good with his series, and I would definitely recommend him and Tales of the Rim, of course.
So other than us two, who, like, one of the big leagues, like, is there one that's kind of your favorite? Is there someone that you like started to watch their Let's Plays and like that's what got you into making Let's Plays?
I would think, and it's probably, obvious, Ambiguous Amphibian. I mean, I was a big fan from the very beginning with his Rimworld. I'm trying to think of the first one I ever watched by him, but I think it was he's got the 100 Pawns video, I believe is what it was, something along, like that. I would say that he is one of my favorites. I don't, like I said, I don't watch a lot of Rimworld content anymore after making the stuff, but before that, I always watched him and his Rimworld content. So, of course, I still watch a lot of his content. He's
And then I guess the final question for me would be, do you have any advice for small-time Rimworld creators to help them grow? Rex Lancaster, sorry.
I would say, because a lot of people have asked me that, and like I said, I genuinely just think I got lucky, and because of that, I got better. But, you know, don't give up. I mean, in the beginning, like you said, I think I was around like 250 videos or something, if not more, by the time the algorithm actually, you know, turned its divine gaze on me or whatever. You know, it's like a you know, Lovecraftian entity or something. You know, don't give up and be consistent. Consistency, I feel like, is something that the algorithm really, really looks for. And it's hard to be consistent, you know, and, you know, it's especially like it comes back to quantity and quality. You know, if you're putting out a lot, it's hard to keep the quality high, and it's a struggle, but trying to stay consistent, few videos a week, and just, you know, don't give up. It sucks in the beginning. It's really hard to, you know, to do in the beginning, but it pays off eventually. I mean, you know, look at us, look at you, look at me, you know, our channels are growing, and it's because we never quit, you know?
And yeah, like you said, that's the hardest part, is continuing, because like there's so much burnout. Like there'll be times where I probably take like 3-4 months off just because it's just like you just don't feel like doing it anymore, right? For you, I don't know, I don't think you've taken that long of a break ever, because you have 500 videos now and you've been consistently putting them out over the last few years.
Yeah, I think that's why it's always my biggest piece of advice, because I feel like if I weren't constantly doing that, I'd never, you know, the algorithm never would have, you know, whatever with me. But yeah, I mean, it's difficult. You know, there were so many times, and I'm kind of like you said, and I'm sure you would agree, it's like, you just want to quit. It's like, you know, maybe I'll just delete my channel. Maybe I'll just delete my videos, because like I'm not getting anywhere. You know, I'm not where I think I should be. But you kind of have to just set goals for yourself. And, you know, I mean, whether that be like, all right, I want to hit 100 subscribers by the end of the year, you know, whatever, you know, set, I would say, achievable goals and, you know, stuff like that. And just, you know, don't give up. Don't give up. That's the hardest thing. You know, it's just so easy to want to quit.
Yeah, and even if you have to take a break, take the break and come back to it later when you feel better about it, because it can be very draining. Being in YouTube in general, this applies to any channel. It's tough.
Really, yeah, I 100% agree. And it's hard not to get jealous sometimes of other creators, especially when you're first starting out, because it's like, you know, I feel like my content is on par with this, but why am I not getting chosen? You know, that kind of thing. But it's yeah, I mean, it's all just about, you know, like when, you know, like slowly you grow an audience, but it's really all about like if you're wanting to get big all of a sudden, just whenever the algorithm decides that, you know.
And the thing is I know a lot of people put it on the algorithm, but when you're starting a channel, you don't just want to be big right away, or else you kind of lose that ability to grow. Because if you're just instantly a one hit, then you don't know how to manage that, and you don't know how to continue to manage expectations too.
Right, exactly. I feel like if you get big all of a sudden, especially in the beginning, it's kind of like, oh, well, you almost feel like this is going to be all the time, you know, like it doesn't matter. I'll just put out a video and it's gonna do good, you know, it's fine. And then that ends up not being the case at all. Or even after you have an audience, you'll be doing really well, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, my views are like really low all of a sudden, or this isn't doing well like I thought it should. You know, it can all be pretty fickle.
It's also really tough for creators that like start right when a DLC comes out, because you have that big spike of attention and everyone's wondering what the new DLC is. Everyone's tuning in for the new DLC. So everyone across the board will see a spike in views when they release videos around that time. But then it starts to slowly taper down and down, because that audience was a fresh audience just there for the DLC.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like there's like a DLC and stuff like that, and people just really want to see that. And then you're like, they're here for me. And then, you know, it's like, you know, I watched him play that, I'm done. You know, I don't want to watch it anymore. It's not for me. Yeah, it happens. It happens so really often, you know.
Well, Rat Knight, I wanted to thank you for your time tonight. It's been over 2 hours. I didn't quite expect the podcast to take that long, so I definitely appreciate you taking the time to speak with me and finally being able to have a one-on-one together, or I guess one-on-two. We've kind of lost our third there, but it's awesome being
quite the threesome. You guys tag team me. It was cool. I had a good time. It was fun. I appreciate you letting me yap for so long. You know, I know I talk a lot, so I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on, of course.
Yes, of course. And talking a lot is not a problem when it comes to podcasting, because that's exactly what we need you to do.
Yeah, I'm not the silent type. I just I try not to ramble on and on. I really enjoy talking, you know, and especially with other creators and stuff. So
yeah, I'll definitely keep in touch with you with potential collabs, and I'll definitely be linking your channel, which a lot of people already know, and your Patreon and stuff at the end of the video. But is there anything you wanted to add?
I'm not really sure, just, thank you for having me on. It's really, I am grateful, and I'm, this is my first ever podcast, so, I don't really know what to say, but I'm grateful for you for having me on. I'm grateful for the audience for watching and, supporting me. And, I genuinely, without the audience, there would be no me. I'm sure you feel the same way. So, it's thank you guys, all of you out there, for listening and for watching. And we love you. I speak on behalf of both of us, I feel, here.
Yes, of course. Yeah, it's if there's no audience, there's no channel, right? Like, it's definitely built on the people that watch, and if there's no one watching, there's nothing to do. That will be it for the Rim Radio Podcast episode 4. Again, thanks Rat Knight, and everyone, you can definitely check out his channel, and that'll be it. Thank you all.